Oh, Nixon.
Uh-oh.
Watergate.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I
here
am
we go.
cooked.
Hello, my disciples. I'm Dark the Damned, and today we're going into some kind of different territory for me today. Well, it's still Lost Media, but it's about the presidents. And who better to watch this video with than my good buddy, Nixon.
What is up, my fellow Americans?
I think that was actually the clearest version of that you could hear because you weren't being drowned out by everybody else during the Left 4 Dead videos. But yeah, here's my buddy. Yeah, here's my buddy Nixon. He suggested this video and he was like, "Hey Doc, can I watch it with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, come on, let's go." So we're just gonna get straight into it. I hope you guys enjoy.
We're starting our list off with perhaps the most famous case of presidential lost media, and that's Abraham Lincoln's lost speech. On May 29th, the then senator was in Bloomington, Illinois, and was speaking at the now demolished Majors Hall. He was delivering a speech condemning slavery, and at first, transcribers followed along, documenting the senator's speech. But as he continued, he captivated his audience so well to the point they stopped writing.
Now then, I wonder how this got lost then, if so many people, like, knew about it. Well, I guess because I don't think audio recordings were during Lincoln's time. Actually, no, I think they were, but, like, I know there's no audio recordings of Lincoln left, or ever was, so there's no recording of Lincoln's voice, but I'm curious about this one. I thought all of his speeches got preserved, but I guess we'll see.
And instead listen to him. Thanks to this, we have no idea what Lincoln said exactly, and we only have summaries that were posted in the local papers, letting us know what the future president said. William Herndon was Lincoln's biographer, and he claimed that the president's famous "a house divided amongst itself cannot stand" originated with this speech, but one
Really? It came from this speech?
Oh my god.
Wait, so this speech then, like, that makes even less sense, because how is this famous quote remembered but the speech itself isn't? Well, I guess it is like that sometimes, where the quote is remembered but the speech is forgotten, but that's a shame.
once again, we have no idea.
December 7th, 1941.
I was gonna say, it's Roosevelt, isn't it? Yeah.
An American airplane
Oh, just Truman.
dropped one bomb on Hiroshima.
Kennedy?
What your country can do for you.
That I welcome.
Hey, it's you!
Oh my god, it's me! Oh my god!
Well, I'm not a crook. I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
Oh yeah, Watergate.
Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president.
I must say to you that the state
Gerald Ford, what did you say?
Watergate, like, ruined me.
of the Union is not good.
Mr. Gorbachev,
Tear down that damn wall. One of my favorite presidential speeches.
tear down this wall.
Oh, this wall, yeah. So this was the intro, Presidential Lost Media. I'm actually excited to hear more about this. Pre-Challenger, not... Oh my god, really? I'm very surprised. Anything from the
The
Challenger.
State of the Union address is a speech given every year in the United States. Its name is literal. It's a report on how well the country is doing. It's held in a joint session of Congress near the beginning of the year, and it's delivered by the President of the United States. This is a tradition that dates clear back to the beginning, when George Washington delivered the first State of the Union in 1790.
I probably won't know a lot of the American traditions because, well, I'm English, I'm not American, but I'm sure, Nixon, if you want to chime in with any cool little facts or stuff that you have about American history that I might not know, be sure to do so, because I'm interested.
Yeah, sure.
This is the shortest one ever delivered, with it coming in at only 1,100 words. The longest State of the Union was the 2001, coming in an hour and a half in length. On December 6th, 1923, Calvin Coolidge would deliver the first State of the Union address on the radio, and Harry Truman would deliver the first one on the TV in 1947.
Wow. I did not expect the TVs to go back to 47. I thought the TVs were in the 50s. Dang.
The unions, one is surrounded in mystery. The 1986 State of the Union delivered.
How was this one lost? Like, I'm confused. I would have expected it to be some of the older presidents, so how is this one not remembered?
Yeah, that is what I'm trying to understand, because, like, I know that the ones from, like, Nixon or from, like, Trump are there, but, like, I don't understand with, like, Reagan's, though. Like, that's what I, like, legitimately don't understand.
Yeah, and especially considering, as it said, the Challenger, I'm assuming this is about the spacecraft Challenger that blew up.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, how was this one lost? I want to see this.
By Ronald Reagan. The speech was originally set to be delivered on January 28, 1986, the same day the Challenger space shuttle was to take off.
Wait a minute. I think I see where this is going.
As we know, the Challenger tragically exploded soon after its takeoff, causing all of the crew members, including a school teacher who won a contest to fly, to lose their lives. Ronald Reagan addressed the nation.
But that's probably one of the most infamous things about the Challenger and why it's so well known, is the fact that a school teacher was on board. And this I do know, like a lot of American kids around the time were all sat around the TV, like there's like a single TV in the classroom, and they were watching the Challenger take off. So imagine seeing that just as a child, just watching it go up, everybody's cheering, everybody's happy, and then just boom. You just witness a national tragedy. Rest in peace to everybody who lost their lives during the Challenger.
I never knew that a teacher was on board. I legitimately never knew that up until now.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's why it became so infamous. Well, obviously because it was absolutely terrifying, but it's just the fact that so many kids were watching it because, you know, school teacher. Yeah, it's quite infamous. But yeah, again, very sad what happened with the Challenger.
That night, but not in the form of the State of the Union, just a night dedicated to those who lost their lives. The State of the Union was moved a week ahead and was delivered on February 4th. This has caused people to speculate about what the original State of the Union would have been about. The Challengers...
Oh, okay, so there was a State of the Union, but the original one, pre-Challenger, is missing. You see, that makes a lot more sense now.
Flight had been delayed several times, and this started in July of 1985. In fact, in the days leading up to the flight, NASA's engineers recommended it be delayed once again, as they were worried about the O-ring seals located inside the boosters. Despite this, the flight went on, and the engineers' concerns were right, as this is what caused the Challenger to fail. Now let's get back to Reagan. On the morning of the launch, the Wall Street Journal reported that Reagan would include a segment dedicated to heroes. In particular, Reagan wanted to speak to Kristen McCullough.
Yep, that's the teacher. That's her.
Oh, wow.
The aforementioned school teacher. Putting all of this together causes people to think that the Challenger launch was rushed so it can be included in the State of the Union.
And as we should have learned from... Actually, wait, no, 86. Wait, isn't this the same year that the Chernobyl disaster happened too? I'm pretty sure it was. Hold on. Give me a second, everybody. I'm Googling this, because if that's the case, then that's twice in 1 year that rushing stuff and being unprepared costed humanity. Chernobyl. It was the same year. Chernobyl was in April and this was in January. Wow.
Oh my freaking god.
86
bro.
was not a nice year at all. Jesus.
This has been denied by the Reagan administration, and the smoking gun, a verified pre-Challenger disaster copy of the State of the Union address, has not come forward, leading people to speculate on the true background of the incident.
Wow, that's intriguing. What do you think, Nixon?
What? Oh my god, I thought it... Okay, bro, if for, a speech, it should be, in the National Archives. I don't understand why it's not even in the National Archives. And because I know that, other speeches are in the National Archives, but, this one is not.
Yeah, it is really strange. Ah, here we go. This is what I was expecting. Voice recordings.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
Ah, yeah, the oldest one, the oldest verifiable one I believe that we currently know of is Benjamin Harrison's. There was suspected to be one of Grover Cleveland, but that hasn't been confirmed. So, as of now, Benjamin Harrison is the furthest we go back in terms of audio recording, and the quality isn't the greatest. Take a listen.
I was present at the first Pan-American Congress in Washington, D.C. Believe that with God's help, our two countries shall continue to live side by side in peace and prosperity. Benjamin Harrison.
What you just heard was
Yes.
the first ever voice recording of a president, the 23rd, Benjamin Harrison, who served between 1889 to 1893.
And the grandfather, I believe, of William Henry Harrison as well. A grandfather and grandson president, I believe. Interesting fact if you didn't know. Also, William Henry Harrison is the shortest serving American president, only about a month in office before he died of most likely something from the water supply. There was a long-running theory that because he gave the longest inaugural address that he caught pneumonia that way because he didn't wear a coat during it. But no, it's verified that nowadays it's most likely that he caught something from the food supply. It's the same thing that killed Zachary Taylor as well.
This recording was made using a phonograph, which would capture sounds using that big horn, and the vibrations of the sound would carve a wax cylinder, providing a recording. But calling Harrison's voice recording the first may be wrong, as rumors have circulated about 2 other presidents having their voice
That's Rutherford Hayes, I believe, on the right here. I recognize that silhouette.
recorded.
And then,
We're going to start with Abraham
Lincoln on the left.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
gonna say. I don't know if there actually is any of Lincoln. I don't think there is any things that have been verified to be Lincoln, but yeah, it'd be cool if there would be.
who already featured on this list with his speech.
I have heard there was like a documentation about those who attended his speeches, saying that like he had like a high pitched sort of like a screamy voice. That's from like what I've heard.
Lincoln died in 1865, and the phonograph was made in 1877, 12 years after this.
Yeah.
So case closed, right? Well,
Or wait, it's not close. I was gonna say, like, wasn't it invented a bit after Lincoln?
not exactly, as
Oh.
the phonograph wasn't the first invention made to record sound. Behold, the phonograph, which
What the hell is that thing? Jesus.
What the freak?
Wow, that's incredible. To think we've gone from this hulking behemoth to a tiny thing that you can put in your pocket in less than 200 years. Can you believe that?
Looks like the thing, like, if you, have seen the Sonic fan dubs, it kind of, looks like the thing that, like, Eggman would have used and to, pee on the moon.
Oh, Jesus.
was invented in 1857.
Oh, wait, yeah, then that could have captured Lincoln's voice. Wait, that could have captured James Buchanan's voice, too.
8 years before Lincoln died, giving us the possibility of a recording. But when the phonograph was made, it was impossible to play back the recordings at first. It wouldn't be for another 150 years until we were able to play back phonograph recordings.
Just a little bit of time. Just a little bit.
And the absolute oldest recording we have is this.
Jesus.
That is someone, presumably the inventor, Edward Leon Scott de Martinville, singing a French song called Au clair de la lune. And
How the bloody hell can you tell that out with that quality? My god.
It sounded like if he was in pain.
No, it sounded like a vuvuzela, you know, the things they use at, like, sports and stuff, or like a hive of bees.
this was recorded in 1860, so the oldest recording is from 1860. Lincoln died in 1865, giving us a 5-year time span in which Lincoln's voice could have been recorded.
And considering he was president during that time as well, and, you know, he'd be a very important person, yeah, maybe there is something out there. Maybe.
There has been a rumor that Martinville came to the White House in 1863 and recorded Lincoln's voice, and this recording would later end up in Thomas Edison's collections. But all of this is rumors and speculation. There's no solid evidence Martinville was in the States in the 1860s, but as we established, it is possible that Lincoln's voice was recorded. And keep in mind, the recordings made by the phonograph were insanely fragile, and we're talking about something that if it was made 150 years ago. But
Yeah, I'm not sure about the possibilities of it still existing today. I mean, it could, and, you know, anything's possible, but, maybe.
like we said, Lincoln isn't the only president speculated to have a missing voice recording.
Rutherford.
This is Rutherford Hayes, a president you've probably never heard of.
I've heard of him because of his infamous Rutherford nickname, because there was a lot of scandals around the time of his presidency thinking that he rigged the whole thing to make him win. Also, he won by 1 vote, I believe. Like, the closest presidential thing, he won by 1. That's how I remember him. Also because his wife used to make a lot of lemonade as well.
He was the 19th president, and he took the office 12 years after Lincoln died. And now we're in the era of the phonograph, the first device that was able to record and play back audio on its own. The oldest voice recording made with a phonograph comes from 1877, the same year President Hayes took the office.
Then, yeah, I definitely see the possibility of his voice being recorded. I'm surprised it wasn't.
According to the Miller Center, on December 30th, 1877, Thomas Edison paid a late-night visit to the White House and demonstrated his new invention to the president, recording his voice. Now, finding information on this was hard, and the first source I read was on Facebook, so that tells you how reliable it is. But if that recording was made, it's gone, and that
It's gone. Oh, dang.
Makes sense. Like we said, the wax cylinders stored in the phonograph recordings were incredibly fragile, so any little form of mishandling would destroy it. As
Yeah, kind of makes sense.
of 2024, Benjamin Harrison is still credited with the president with the oldest voice recording, despite the rumors that these older recordings were lost.
What do you reckon to that, Nixon?
That is actually really interesting. And also with like the wax at things, like it reminds me of that one meme where like a guy on a show is like has a recording of Edison, and then like as he shows it, it just like breaks.
Yeah, but say it's very fragile, clearly. But dang,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I had a feeling that there was rumors around Lincoln's voice being recorded, but I didn't know about Rutherford either. All right, what's up next? A lost photo of William Henry Harrison. Oh, it's a portrait. That's right. I think I heard about this.
Let's take it a step down from recordings and now discuss photography.
Yes. I've heard of this one. You know, I believe it's John Quincy Adams who has the first portrait of himself, but there was a rumor that Harrison had one too. That was first. It might be along the lines of that, or actually maybe he had the first photograph, but like, I've heard of something about this. Sorry, I'll just stop yapping and get back onto it.
This is President John Quincy Adams, the 6th president who served between 1825 to 1829. And this is the earliest photo of a president to ever be taken, and will be taken in 1843, 14 years after he left the office.
Yeah, it was the photo, but there was suspicions that William Henry Harrison had one before Adams, but I'm not sure if that's been confirmed or not.
But the first sitting president to be photographed will be number 11, James Polk, pictured here. Well, James Polk is the first president to have his picture taken and survive.
And sadly, James Polk was one of the youngest presidents to die. I think he was only 53 years old. He died from cholera due to contaminated water. And it was a shame as well because many people reported that by the time he left office, he was, a nice guy. He was full of energy, wanting to do a tour, but then his health just practically fell off of a cliff and he died not too long after leaving office. Real shame.
William Henry Harrison, the 9th president, had his picture taken as well. On March 4th, 1841, William Henry Harrison had just delivered the longest inaugural speech at that time, and
yeah, as you can see, I talked about this earlier.
Even today. He was then sat down and he had his picture taken. This picture has since gone missing. Like we said, 2 years later, that picture of John Quincy Adams will be taken, marking the oldest photo of a president to survive.
Oh, so there was a photo of William Henry Harrison, but it just didn't make it through time. Interesting.
Here's another photo of John Quincy Adams that was taken around the same time, and I only wanted to include it because, Jesus Christ, he looks terrifying in this.
Yeah, look at that quality, Nixon, my god.
Oh my god,
Looks like he's had his eyes clawed out or something, Jesus.
God dang it, I can't say it without laughing. It looks like if someone took a massive dump on the phone.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Actually, no, it looks like something you'd see like in a haunted theme park. Like in the haunted house section. Yeah, I can see it.
Oh my god, bro.
This is something that would be in an analog horror, and that photo itself was lost for a very long time. And if you ask me, it should have stayed lost because
yeah, no shit.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, we're way off topic. I guess there's not much more to add. Henry's photo was lost, and this picture is actually a really realistic portrait, providing us the closest look we can get at a photograph of William Henry Harrison.
That's a portrait. You can't do any better than that. I mean, look at that. That looks practically perfect to a photo. But no, that is a portrait. That is a work of art.
William Henry Harrison.
Right. Martha Washington's letters. I haven't heard about these ones.
On December 14th, 1799,
the day George Washington passed away.
After a prolonged and insanely overblown treatment schedule, George Washington became the first president to pass away.
Also, his doctors killed him. I will stand by this. George Washington was not old when he died. I think he was only in his mid to late 60s, I'm pretty sure. What killed him? His doctors. So he caught some kind of like small illness, I believe it was. But then his condition worsened and worsened. But if he had just kind of left it alone, I think he would have been fine. But the doctors did what they called balancing the humors, which basically balancing the amount of fluids and shit in your body, and bloodletting. So they basically bled him to death, and they did all these awful things to try and make him better, which just killed him quicker. So yeah, I think if they have left Washington alone, he would have lived for like a good few years after that. And that's not the first time, unfortunately. Sorry, it's not the last time the president was killed by the doctors. James Garfield is another example of that too.
Very soon after this, the widowed Martha Washington would begin the process of burning several decades worth of love letters shared between the two. These letters spanned in between important events like the Revolutionary War and Washington's 8 years of presidency, and would have provided a deeper look into the private life and feelings of our nation's first couple. But Martha wanted these feelings to be kept private forever, prompting her to burn them all. And this may be the only case of media being intentionally destroyed for a good reason. But I don't know. Let me know, was there something else destroyed for a good reason? Martha Washington would pass away 3 years after her husband, taking the secret of the letter's content to the grave.
Oh, that's a shame, but I mean, at the same time, can't really blame her. Wanted to keep the privacy between her and Washington, so yeah. Explains why I don't know about this one then. What do you think, Nixon?
Okay, so I just wish that she like hadn't burned the letters, because like and because if she didn't, then like we probably like would have known like more about like what happened to Washington like during the downfall of his health, basically.
Yeah, that and plus everything else that Washington was involved in. It's one of those bits of history where I can't blame the person for getting rid of it, but at the same time, I wish it could have stuck around. So let's see what's next. Oh, Nixon.
Uh-oh.
Watergate. Here we go.
I am so
When
cooked,
Americans
chat.
hear the name Richard Nixon, the first thing we think of is the Watergate scandal.
And his nickname of Tricky Dick.
This was a set of events that would take place on June 17, 1972, in which 5 burglars were caught breaking into the Democratic National Committee's office at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. The robbers were found to have a connection to Richard Nixon, and this then spiraled into a full-on investigation into the president, which ultimately culminated into Nixon's own resignation in 1974. During the investigation, it was found that Richard Nixon recorded basically every conversation he had in the Oval Office, and in the investigation of these recordings, the so-called smoking gun tape was found. This consisted of Richard Nixon audibly ordering the Watergate break-in to be covered up.
Uh-oh. Not gonna be doing that. Yeah, I can see why this is lost.
I am so cooked, chat.
But this wasn't the only oddity in these recordings. During the investigation...
Also, if you hear a dog barking in the background, just ignore it. Sorry, I can't do nothing about that. That's next door neighbors.
An 18-and-a-half-minute-long recording of silence was found. Nixon's secretary, Rosemary Woods, claimed she had accidentally recorded over 5 minutes of that 18, and the rest of it was wiped when she was trying to listen to the re-recorded portion. Now, not everyone agrees with this story. Some believe rather Nixon or Woods wiped this footage on purpose, and some of the conspiracies surrounding the wiped audio get pretty wild. From war deals with the Soviet Union, to deals with terrorists, to a slightly more believable explanation, that it contained more evidence to the Watergate break-in, considering this audio was recorded and wiped 3 days after the hotel robbery.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the circumstances behind this one seem very sketchy, and it makes a lot of sense as to why, it's been lost. So what do you think?
That is interesting, and there's also a good movie about it called Frost Nixon. Even though like the opening of the movie is like about like Watergate, but it focuses more on the David Frost interviews with Nixon.
Oh, I might have to check that out. I wonder who this is between. Let's see.
I'm gonna tell you a list of names. Let me know if they mean anything to you. Millard Fillmore.
Yep.
John Tyler.
Yep.
Chester Allen Arthur.
Yep.
And the focus of this entry, Zachary Taylor.
Yep, I know a good few things about each of these presidents. Millard Fillmore, he used to eat squirrel soup, I know about that. And his last words were, the soup or the nourishment is palatable. That was his final words. John Tyler, he's the only president to not be buried with the American flag. As he was a darling of the Confederates, he was actually buried with the Confederate flag. Chester Arthur, I got nothing. I'll be honest, he's kind of one of the more forgettable presidents in my opinion. Again, I don't really know too much about it, because obviously I'm not American, but I know some stuff. And of course, Zachary Taylor, as I mentioned, only served about a year and a half in office before passing away due to contaminated foods, most likely. And I think he's the second president to die in office, if memory serves me right.
Have you heard of any of those names before?
I
Well,
have.
if you're watching a presidential lost media video, you might have, but the vast majority of people probably have not. This is because these were the presidents of the early 1800s, kind of a more boring and less discussed period of history.
Yeah, there was like kind of a bit of a stretch where the presidents weren't necessarily the best, and this was definitely one of those times as well.
And a lot of these names I listed did nothing of note. And like I said, we're focusing on Zachary Taylor today.
And John Tyler, like I said, he was a friend of the Confederates as well, so dang.
Zachary Taylor was the 12th president of the United States and served between March 4th of 1849 to July 9th of 1850.
Like I said, just a little over a year, not long.
A period of 493 days, giving him the third shortest presidency ever. And Zachary Taylor didn't even want to be president. The Whig Party put him on the ballot without his permission. Upon hearing this, he refused the campaign. But by some miracle, he won. Once in office, he didn't do much at all. His presidency is marked by the issue of slavery. He himself was a slave owner, but was against the expansion of slavery, pushing New Mexico and California to gain statehood as free states. But before he could really accomplish anything, he died only 1 year into his term, causing them to all but be forgotten about in history textbooks.
However, there was one thing that a lot of people may remember Zachary Taylor for, is that there was an ongoing rumor that he had actually been poisoned. And so some of his relatives in the future, in 1991, actually agreed to have his body exhumed. So if you can Google it, you can find picture of his bones and stuff and his skull. So there's a cool bit of trivia for you. A little bit grim, but still cool. But yeah, they could determine that there was nothing that poisoned him. Again, it was most likely just because the food and water and everything around DC at the time, it just wasn't clean. So that's what killed him.
And the Union Army helped cause this. After the president's death, the majority of his personal papers were stored at the plantation home of his son in Louisiana. During the American Civil War, the home was raided, and many of the papers there were burnt or otherwise lost, leaving a massive hole in the documentation of Taylor's life.
I see.
This also happened to John Tyler, the 10th president. His house was raided, and many of his papers stored there were also lost.
What do you think of that?
Interesting. That is just all I can say.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think this is the last one here. Buchanan's love letters. Now, this is interesting because I believe James Buchanan is the only president to not be married. Many people actually suspected that James Buchanan was gay. Yeah, he is, I believe, the only president to not be in a relationship or be married. He's also quite a terrible president, too.
And now, our final case of presidential lost media, and it may be our saddest story yet. James Buchanan was the president right before Lincoln, and is often referred to as the worst president we've ever had.
He's not the worst president, in my opinion. The worst president, in my opinion, is Andrew Johnson, I believe, the president after Lincoln. Him and Woodrow Wilson are by far the worst presidents in American history, in my opinion.
Myriad of reasons that aren't really important right now. James Buchanan is also known as our only president to never marry, and this entry may explain why he never did, as it's very likely that James Buchanan was our first gay president. This is William R. King, the 13th vice president, and maybe the secret lover of James Buchanan.
Yeah, I'm assuming these letters are going to tie into that too.
Historians have long dug into the relationship between these two men, and I'll present some of the findings. Let's begin with the fact that these two men lived together in the same house for 10 years. A practice that was not rare at the time, but let's build upon this. William King referred to the relationship as a communion, and they would often go to social events together.
Oh, I see. The plot thickens.
Sparking comments from several political figures of the time. Andrew Jackson referred to them as Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. Miss Nancy was the slang of the time, referring to a well-kept and clean man, while Aunt Fancy was slang for an effeminate man. In a confidential letter, Aaron Brown referred to the pair as Buchanan and his better half. As the Minister to France, William King would have to take several trips to Europe. And one time while away, James Buchanan would say in a letter, "I am now solitary and alone, having no companion in the house with me. I have gone a-wooing to several gentlemen, but have not succeeded with any one of them.
I mean, come on, that's pretty obvious right there.
I feel that it is not good for a man to be alone, and I should not be astonished to find myself married to some old maid who who can nurse me when I'm sick, provide good dinners for me when I am well, and not expect from me any very ardent or romantic affection. The two even plan to run as president and vice president together, but these plans and ambitions would be cut short, as William King would pass away on April 18th, 1853. James Buchanan would describe him as among the best, the purest, and the most consistent public men I have ever known. 3 years after this, James Buchanan would become president. And as he took the Oval Office, the nieces of both Buchanan and King would burn several letters shared between the two, hiding the secrets of their relationship forever. And like I said with the Martha Washington letters, perhaps that's for the best. Not everything in life needs to be shared. We all need our privacy. So, what do you think?
I think there's definitely something there.
I'm just like, why do they like always like burn everything, bro?
I guess just because, again, they wanted privacy when it came to this stuff, so... Yeah, I think there is definitely something there, and obviously nowadays in 2025 would be all accepting of it, but I can imagine back in those times, absolutely not, no way. But anyways, that was President's Lost Media by Tanman5123. I completely forgot to introduce them in the intro, but I'm doing it here, so be sure to go and check out their video and their channel. I will link it down below. Of course, thank you again to my good buddy Nixon for coming on and joining me with this reaction and sending me the video.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to link your channel too. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to become one of my disciples. Do the same for Nixon. Check the description if you want to join the Discord. And of course, let me know, what did you guys think of this? Did you enjoy the history behind it? Did you learn something new? But for now, I'm Doc the Damned. Take care, everybody.